Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Al over here at One Man Indie, and I am back with yet another week of items that I created during this crazy experiment I call JulYtem. It's 1 month where I take 31 prompts and I try to come up with 31 items. Hopefully they actually make sense and work together with my world of Kandris, and maybe they might be something that you can use yourself in whatever campaigns, settings, projects, or whatever you may have going on for yourself. So let me just kick off with the very first one, and then I will see you guys in a little bit. All right, so the very first prompt that came for today was the word fold. And I was like, fold, okay, fold. And I kind of drew a blank a little bit, and then I started kind of thinking like, okay, well, what could fold? And I was thinking initially like a map, but I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. What kind of a map? Then I was thinking about a map that's like what you might have seen in some RPG games. You get a little mini map on the corner, and the more and more you walk around, the more and more the map fills out and stuff like that. Or you might have seen it also in Metroidvanias as well. And I was thinking something like that, but I was like, I think there's already something in Dungeons and Dragons like that already. And so I was kind of pushing it down, and I kept saying fold, fold, fold. What the heck is fold? And it kept bugging me. So I thought, okay, all right. Maybe there's something here. What I did was I just took the time and thought it through. Okay, well, maybe instead of having a map that's already exposed and like you just fill it in as you walk through it, why not just have a map that adds more pages, that has the exact same kind of function, but it folds out new pages with new spaces? Even if you go back to those rooms that you had before, if you see new stuff, that new stuff is updated to that same page. But the more and more you explore, the more and more pages add to the map. So you can start off with like, say, one piece of paper. Depending on how many rooms you explore in a certain area, it could be a really, really thick kind of map. You know what I mean? So with that idea in mind, this is where I come up with this idea. Okay, so for today, or this day actually, we have the prompt of smooth. And at first, it kind of made me think of like oil, I guess, or like some kind of a grease. And I was like, okay, maybe like some kind of lubricant or something like that. But it, for some reason or another, it just wasn't working for me. And then I was thinking about something like sandpaper that kind of smooths or polishes something like that. And I was kind of thinking, okay, there's something with that. Okay, that's an idea. But how would we get, like, where would we get the sandpaper from? What would it be used for? And then it just, bam, just hit me right upside the head. Duh. What's another way that you can smooth something? Or what's another way of like polishing something to get to a certain surface? And I started thinking about how like blacksmiths use like a grinding wheel to smooth out their swords. But also, when you have a sword or kind of a blade edge, all you're basically doing is smoothing it enough that that one particular point where the edge is can cut. And the smoother it is, the easier it is for it to cut. And so I started remembering the story that I had written earlier this year. And there was a certain process that blacksmiths used to preserve an edge on a bladed implement for longer than the standard sharpening with the grinding wheel. And so I said, hey, wait a minute, why don't I just do that? And so with that in mind, now we have this. Now we got chair for the next prompt. And the first thing that came to mind were those battle wheelchairs that they're now becoming all the rage in D&D and stuff like that. I was like, no, that's stupid. So I was thinking, well, what kind of a chair then? The thought came to me about one of those torture chamber chairs, like an electric chair, or I guess that one chair that we saw in, what was it? It was in one of the newer James Bond movies. I believe it probably was in Casino Royale. James Bond, he had his, his dangly bits through a hole, and the guy was hitting it with like a I don't know, like a sock, or I don't know what the hell he was doing it, but it was a form of torture. I was like, I don't know if I want to go for like a torture implement, you know what I'm saying? So I kept thinking. Then it went from chair, then it went to seat. Well, maybe a type of seat that moves. And I was like, I mean, you know, like the carpet from Aladdin? No. And then it went to saddles. Okay, well, who cares about that? It's a saddle. What does it do? Why would this be special? And I kept thinking, well, why not have the saddle work this way? The user thinks of a type of creature that they want to ride on. The saddle stores the image of this particular creature in it. So at any time when the person gets on the saddle, then this particular creature would manifest underneath of it and they could use it as a mount. So that's pretty much what it was. Now, I think there's some kind of a spell called Phantasmal Mount in Dungeons and Dragons. And I was gonna go with like Imaginary Steed or Phantasmal Steed. And I was like, you know what? No, I don't wanna try to do stuff that's already there. I don't wanna be cheesy. So I looked around at certain words that can be used for transit, moving, and everything else like that. And when I did, I saw something that was pretty interesting. So I figured, why not just go with this? Okay, so for today, we have the prompt of blink. The first thing that kind of came to mind was, why don't we just go with something that kind of irritates the eyes, like sand. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, pocket sand kept going through my head this entire time. Either that or some kind of a pollen or something that can be used to make people sneeze and irritate their eyes and stuff like that. I went, maybe that could work, you know? But the more and more I thought about it, I was like, no, maybe we can do something else. And then I was thinking more or less like in the blink of an eye, like something that moves really fast. Blink dogs kind of came to mind, the whole teleporting thing, kind of something that you would maybe see with Nightcrawler from the X-Men. But blink dogs are already a thing. So I don't know, maybe something else. And then I remembered that there's a little something that I'm going to be showing in the near future, but this particular creature's pelt can be used for that. Now, why am I doing this? Why am I using this particular creature now? And why does it fit with the term blink is something you'll have to see. You'll have to subscribe to find out that answer. Okay, now I'm starting to think that since I'd had ChatGPT generate the prompts for me, it spent a lot of time generating opposites and maybe just threw stuff together. I have no idea. But this particular prompt is called rough. And I was like, okay, so rough. Now, again, I kept going back to sandpaper, but I was like, I already just did that with smooth. And I don't want to go back to that. That's not going to work. Okay. Well, maybe I can go with maybe some kind of hide, like what I guess pachyderm creature that has a pebbly kind of hide. And I was thinking, okay, well, we already have the avalanchadillo and their shells are made into like their natural armor. We already have that. So what else can I do? Steel wool, for some reason or other, came to mind. I'm like, well, okay, steel wool, but that's not really wool. It's like this metal stuff. But I was thinking like, well, can wool be rough? And I looked it up and saw that, yes, some textures of wool can be rougher than others. Some are softer than others, some are not. So, and I was like, well, if there's some sources of wool that are softer and or rougher than others, what kind of wool would actually work here on Kandris? Then I remember the Druga. There is a creature that I'll introduce, but this particular creature produces a type of silk that I guess it could be kind of wool-like. It serves a purpose when they are fighting the Ember Touched. And with that in mind, I kind of came up with this. Okay, so bottle was the prompt that we got next. Like, I already have a bottle item. This would have been perfect if I hadn't already created the Psyche Flask. And if you don't know what the Psyche Flask is, check the link up here. And I'm like, damn, that would have been perfect for this. And I was like, okay, all right, what else can a bottle be used for? And I almost kind of went with maybe like in terms of like glass, as in stained glass. I don't think maybe stained glass is something that is practical for Kandris. Then I actually looked up the term bottle, and it seems in the UK that bottle is another term for like brave, courageous, something of that nature. And I thought, really? And so that had me thinking of the term liquid courage, because you know, people like to drink beers and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And I almost went with that. But going farther and farther and farther along, I came to terms like boldness, courage, guts, and I came across the word brazen. And looking up the definition of brazen coincided with what I already had. I was like, don't I just combine these two things and have a little play on words? And now we have this. And the last prompt for this video is going to be the word drive. I'll be honest with you, I had actually looked at this word the day before, and throughout the night, I was just like off and on thinking about it. I tossing and turning throughout the night while the whole time I was thinking about it. And I kept thinking, what is drive? Well, aside from just driving a vehicle, and I didn't even look up the word drive, I just kept thinking of different ways of it being used. Many times drive means to force something or to make something go or direct it in a certain kind of way. So I was like, And then I kept thinking about like guys on stagecoaches with the whips, and they're driving those horses really hard because they're making them go in a certain direction. And then bam, the words came to my mind, ring of compulsion. But then I saw that Marvel had already had like rings of compulsion, was like, I'm trying to stay away from like stepping on anybody's IP or anything else like that. So that's kind of just stopped me from doing it. But it did help me a little with the concept of the word. And now I have this. So yeah, that is it. 7 new prompts gave me 7 new items that I hope you guys will like. Maybe they'll give you ideas for stuff that you want to do in your own campaigns, projects, stories, or whatever you want to do. Again, this is not just a challenge just for me. If you want to take part in this, you actually can. That's why I'm making these videos. If any of the items that I've shown or any of the concepts given throughout these videos inspire you, please let me know. I would love to hear it. It would be awesome to see. If you did enjoy this, please subscribe, follow, ring the bell, stay up to date with what I am doing, and help my channel to grow. I would like to be a source for people to be inspired by if I can, because I think we need more creative projects out there nowadays, as unfortunately, the corporations have killed creativity in the name of profit. So we need more people with passion making awesome stuff for others to enjoy. So I'd like to help in that process if I could. So if you could, if nothing more, please just give it a thumbs and comment. Boost this in the algorithm so more people can see this. Your comments, your likes, spreading the word definitely goes a long way to helping. I also have a Ko-Fi if you wanted to support the show this way. It has a lot of great projects on it. You also get access to me on Discord, and you get discounts on any other products that I have and will make going forward. And I also have a Rumble if you want to subscribe for that. Every dollar that you give does keep the show going and keep the show growing, and everything is always appreciated. But that's it for me. I will check in on you folks next week for more of JulYtem. Y'all take it easy. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed the content, please support this channel by liking, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell for more. Thank you.